The sky above Sierra Prime had always been peaceful. Soft pink clouds floated across the purple horizon. The twin suns cast gentle light over the crystalline cities that rose like frozen music from the ground. For thousands of years, the Elori had lived in harmony on this world. They had never known war. They had never needed to. Elder Voss stood at the great window of the council chamber, his thin body trembling. His large silver eyes watched the sky, but he no longer saw beauty there. He saw death. The Kel ships hung in orbit like dark wounds against the stars. There were hundreds of them. Each one carried weapons that could turn cities to dust. Each one carried soldiers bred for violence and cruelty. "They have destroyed our defense fleet," Commander Bren said. His voice was calm, but his hands shook. "All 47 ships, gone in less than 2 hours." The council members sat in stunned silence. The Elori were small creatures, barely reaching 1 meter tall. Their bones were light and delicate, perfect for their low-gravity world. Their skin was pale blue, almost translucent. They had evolved to think, to create, to dream. They had not evolved to fight. "What do they want?" asked one council member, her voice breaking. "They want us," Voss replied. He turned from the window. "The Kel Dominion harvests species. They take our people for labor, for experiments, for food." He paused, letting the horror of those words sink in. "They have done this to 17 civilizations before us. None survived." Outside, the first bombardment began. The floor shook. Somewhere in the city, a crystal tower collapsed with a sound like screaming glass. "We must surrender," someone said. "Perhaps they will show mercy." "The Kel do not know mercy," Bren answered. "I have studied them. Surrender means a slow death instead of a fast one, nothing more." Silence fell over the chamber. Through the window, they could see Kel landing craft descending toward the surface. The invasion had begun. In a small communications room 3 levels below, a young Elori named Lyra worked frantically at her console. She was barely past childhood, her eyes still bright with the hope that older Elori had lost. Her job was simple. She monitored signals from across the galaxy. She listened for messages, for news, for anything that might help her people. Tonight, she was looking for a miracle. Her fingers moved across the controls as she searched through old frequencies. Most were dead. Some carried only static. The galactic community was vast, but the Elori had few friends. They were too small, too weak, too unimportant. Then she found something. It was an old emergency channel, established decades ago when a new species had joined the galactic community. Lyra had heard stories about them. Everyone had. They came from a world called Earth, a Class 12 Deathworld. She shivered at the thought. Deathworlds were planets of nightmare, high gravity that crushed bones, extreme temperatures that killed without warning, radiation that poisoned the air, predators that hunted constantly, natural disasters that destroyed entire regions. Most species could not survive a single day on such worlds. But humans had not just survived. They had thrived. They had conquered their death planet and reached for the stars. The galaxy feared them. Lyra had seen images of humans. They were massive creatures standing nearly 2 meters tall. Their bodies were thick with muscle, built to fight the crushing gravity of their world. Their skin came in different colors, but their eyes all held the same thing: a sharpness, a danger, the look of predators who had never stopped hunting. Stories spread through the galaxy about human endurance. They could survive wounds that would kill any other species. They could keep fighting with broken bones and bleeding bodies. They could go days without sleep, weeks without food. They healed from injuries that should have been permanent. And they were violent. Their history was written in blood, war after war after war. They had nearly destroyed themselves dozens of times before finally reaching peace. Even now, their military was vast and terrible. No one wanted humans as enemies, but no one really wanted them as friends either. They were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too alien in their strange mixture of brutality and something else that other species could not understand. Lyra stared at the frequency. She should tell the council, she should ask permission, but there was no time. The Kel were already in the streets. She could hear screaming through the walls. Her hands trembled as she opened the channel and began to speak. "This is Lyra of the Elori people calling from Sierra Prime. We are under attack. The Kel Dominion has invaded our world. Our defenses are destroyed. Our people are being taken. We have no one else to turn to." She paused, tears running down her face. "Please, if anyone hears this, we need help. We need someone to save us." She repeated the message again and again, sending it out into the void of space. Minutes passed. The building shook from another explosion. The lights flickered. Nothing. Lyra lowered her head. It had been foolish to hope. The humans were far away. Why would they care about the Elori? Why would anyone? Then the console crackled. Static hissed through the speakers. Then, cutting through the noise, came a voice. It was deep and strong, speaking in accented Galactic Common. "Message received. This is Admiral T-Ho of the United Earth Defense Fleet." There was a pause. "Hold your position. We are coming." The channel went silent. Lyra sat frozen, her heart pounding. She had called out to monsters, and the monsters had answered. Now she did not know if she had saved her people or doomed them to something worse. She ran to tell the council. When she burst into the chamber, the elders looked at her with hollow eyes. Elder Voss was speaking quietly about evacuation plans that everyone knew were impossible. "I contacted someone," Lyra gasped. "I sent a distress signal," someone answered. Hope flickered in the room. "Who?" Voss asked. Lyra swallowed. "The humans." The hope died. Fear replaced it. "You called the Deathworlders." Bren stepped forward, his voice rising. "Do you know what you have done? They are more dangerous than the Kel. They will destroy everything." "They said they are coming to help," Lyra protested. "Humans do not help. They conquer, they fight, they kill." Bren turned to the council. "We must send another message. Tell them not to come. Tell them we do not need them." "We do need them," Voss said quietly. Everyone turned to look at the old elder. "We are already dead," Voss continued. "The Kel will harvest us all. Our children will die in processing camps. Our civilization will end." He looked at Lyra with something like gratitude. "This young one has given us a chance. Perhaps the humans will destroy us. Perhaps they are monsters, but perhaps not. And perhaps is better than certainly." The room fell silent. Outside, the Kel soldiers moved through the streets, dragging Elori from their homes. The screaming grew louder. And somewhere across the stars, a fleet of Deathworlders began to move. The message played again in the war room of Aegis Prime, Earth's orbital command station. Every officer listened to the young alien voice, filled with fear and desperation. When it ended, silence filled the room. Admiral T-Ho stood at the head of the long table. He was 53 years old, with gray hair cut short and a face marked by decades of service. His eyes were dark and steady. He had fought in 3 wars and led humanity through 2 major crises. He had seen the best and worst that the universe had to offer. Now he faced a choice. "The Elori are a minor species," said General Park, studying the star maps on the display. "Small population, no military value, no strategic resources. If we intervene, we gain nothing." "We gain enemies," added another officer. "The Kel Dominion controls 40 systems. They have 3 times our fleet numbers. Starting a war with them over a species we have never met is foolish." T-Ho said nothing. He watched the display showing Sierra Prime, a small planet in a distant system. The Elori cities glowed like tiny lights. Even now, those lights were going out one by one. "Sir," Captain Yuna spoke from her seat. She was younger than most officers in the room, but her record was impressive. She commanded the flagship Horizon's Edge, and she had never lost a battle. "May I speak?" T-Ho nodded. Yuna stood. I understand the strategic arguments, I understand the risks, but I also understand something else. She looked around the room. Every person in this room knows our history. Earth was not kind to us. Our planet tried to kill us every day. Earthquakes, floods, predators, disease, radiation. We survived because we fought together. We protected each other. That is what made us human. She paused. If we ignore this call for help, what does that make us? Just another empire that watches the weak suffer. We are better than that. We have always been better than that. The room was quiet. Admiral Tiho finally spoke. Captain Yuna is right. We did not build this fleet to protect only ourselves. We built it to protect anyone who cannot protect themselves. He turned to his officers. Prepare the fleet. We leave in 3 hours. There were no more objections. 3 hours later, 40 warships hung in formation above Earth. They were beautiful and terrible, built from steel and fire. The flagship Horizon's Edge led the formation, its hull painted with the symbol of Earth. Behind it came destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and the massive dreadnought Iron Will. Captain Yuna walked through the corridors of her ship, checking on her crew. She stopped in the medical bay where Dr. Hana was preparing supplies. Hana was a small woman with kind eyes and gentle hands. She was both a medical officer and a xenobiologist, an expert in alien species. Now she studied data about the Elori on her screen. They are fragile, Hana said without looking up. Average height of 1 meter, bone density about 1/3 of ours. Their world has gravity only 40% of Earth. A human handshake could break their fingers. Can we help them? Yuna asked. Medically, yes, but we must be careful. Our normal equipment is too strong for them. I am preparing special supplies. Hana finally looked at her captain. They must be terrified of us. They called us anyway. That tells me how desperate they are. Yuna continued her walk. In the tactical center, she found Lieutenant Dongha surrounded by screens showing Kel data. Dongha was known for finding solutions that no one else could see. He was young, barely 30, but his mind worked faster than computers. He had won simulations that were supposed to be impossible. What have you learned? Yuna asked. The Kel are powerful, Dongha answered, but they are slow. Their ships are built for intimidation, not efficiency. They expect enemies to surrender or die quickly. He smiled slightly. They have never fought Deathworlders. Meaning they do not know what we can survive. They do not know how we think. They expect us to retreat when we take damage. They expect us to break when things go wrong. His smile grew. They are going to be very surprised. In the Marine quarters, Sergeant Wu Jin gathered his soldiers. They were the ground forces, the ones who would fight face to face if needed. Each of them wore heavy armor and carried weapons that could cut through steel. Wu Jin was a large man, even by human standards. His face was scarred from old battles, but his eyes were warm. His soldiers loved him because he led from the front and never asked them to do anything he would not do himself. Listen up, he said. This mission is different. We are not fighting for territory or resources. We are fighting for people, small people, fragile people, people who cannot fight for themselves. He looked at each soldier. That means we hit hard, we hit fast, and we protect every single alien we find. Understood? Yes, Sergeant, the Marines shouted. Good, get your gear ready. We drop when the Admiral gives the word. On the bridge of the Horizon's Edge, Admiral Tiho stood before the main view screen. The stars stretched out before him, cold and endless. Somewhere out there, an entire species was dying. His communications officer looked up. Sir, the fleet is ready. All ships report green. Tiho nodded. He opened a channel to every ship. This is Admiral Tiho. In a few moments, we will jump to the Sierra system. We will face an enemy that believes it can do whatever it wants to the weak. An enemy that thinks strength gives them the right to destroy. He paused, letting his words sink in. The galaxy calls us Deathworlders. They think we are monsters. They think Earth made us cruel. His voice hardened. Earth made us strong. Earth made us survivors. And Earth taught us one simple truth. The strong must protect the weak, not because it benefits us, not because it is easy, but because it is right. He looked at the stars. Today we show the galaxy what Deathworlders really are. Not monsters, not conquerors, protectors, the kind of protectors that the universe has never seen. He took a breath. All ships engage FTL drives. Let's go save some lives. The fleet jumped. Light stretched around the ships as they tore through space at impossible speeds. The journey that would take other species weeks took the humans only hours. Their technology was advanced, refined by generations of brilliant minds. But more importantly, their determination was absolute. Far away in the Sierra system, a Kel sensor officer frowned at his screen. Something was approaching, many somethings, moving faster than any known species could travel. He reported it to his commander. The Kel commander laughed. No one is coming. No species is foolish enough to challenge us over these weaklings. Your sensors are malfunctioning. The sensor officer looked at his screen again. The signals were getting closer, and there were so many of them. Sir, he said slowly, I do not think my sensors are wrong. On the surface of Sierra Prime, Lyra huddled in an underground shelter with hundreds of other Elori. Above them, Kel soldiers marched through the streets. The harvesting had begun. Families were torn apart. Children were taken. The screaming never stopped. Lyra held a small device in her hands, still tuned to the emergency frequency. She did not know why she kept listening. The humans had said they were coming, but that was hours ago. Perhaps they had changed their minds. Perhaps they had decided the Elori were not worth saving. Then through the static she heard voices, human voices, multiple ships coordinating their approach. Her heart stopped. She ran to Elder Voss. They are here, the humans are here. Above the planet, the sky began to change. Points of light appeared, growing brighter. Ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, one after another after another. The Kel stopped what they were doing and looked up. The Deathworlders had arrived. The human fleet emerged from light like thunder made visible. 40 warships, each one larger than anything the Elori had ever built. The flagship Horizon's Edge led the formation, its weapons already charging with deadly energy. Behind it, the dreadnought Iron will cast a shadow across the stars. Commander Bren stood on a ruined balcony, watching the sky. His breath caught in his throat. He had studied images of human vessels, but the pictures did not capture the reality. These ships were not just large. They were terrifying, built for war in ways that made the Kel fleet look like toys. Ancestors protect us, he whispered. Across the planet, Elori refugees looked up through broken windows and cracked ceilings. They saw the human ships and felt two things at once, hope and fear. These were the legendary Deathworlders. These were the monsters from Earth, and they had come. In orbit, the Kel commander stared at his view screen with growing unease. His fleet numbered 120 ships. He had expected no resistance. The Elori had no allies, no friends, no one who would risk war over them. Yet here was a fleet, a human fleet. Open a channel, he ordered. Before he could speak, the human ship spoke first. Captain Yuna's voice filled every Kel bridge. It was calm and cold, carrying an authority that made even the Kel commander pause. This is Captain Yuna of the United Earth Defense Fleet. You have attacked a species under our protection. Your actions here are crimes against sentient life. You have one chance to withdraw your forces and leave this system. If you refuse, we will destroy you. The Kel commander recovered his confidence. He had fought many species. He had conquered worlds. These humans were far from their home, outnumbered 3-1. They were bluffing. Human captain, he replied with a sneer, you are brave but foolish. Your fleet is small. Your species is young. We have crushed dozens of civilizations. Turn back now and we will let you leave alive. Stay and you will die with these weaklings." There was a pause. Then Yuna spoke again. "I was hoping you would say that." The battle began. Human ships moved with speed that should have been impossible for their size. They broke formation into attack groups, each one targeting specific Kel vessels. Railguns fired first, sending metal slugs at incredible velocities. The slugs punched through Kel shields and armor like they were paper. 3 Kel ships exploded in the first 10 seconds. The Kel commander screamed orders. His fleet returned fire, plasma cannons, and energy weapons filling space with deadly light. The shots hit human ships. Armor glowed red. Hulls buckled. But the human ships did not stop. "They are taking damage," a Kel officer reported. "Multiple hits on their lead vessel." "Good, press the attack. They will retreat." They did not retreat. The Horizon's Edge pushed forward, straight into the enemy formation. Its weapons fired without pause. Where Kel shots hit, damage control teams worked frantically to seal breaches and repair systems. But the ship kept moving, kept fighting. Lieutenant Dongha stood at his tactical station, reading enemy movements. He saw patterns that the Kel did not even know they were making. He predicted their maneuvers and positioned human ships to intercept. "Enemy carrier, upper left quadrant preparing to launch fighters," he reported. "Destroyer Group 3, intercept and eliminate." 3 human destroyers changed course instantly. Their missiles found the carrier before it could launch. The explosion lit up the void. In the medical bay, Dr. Hana felt the ship shake with each impact. She ignored it, focusing on her screens. She had connected with Lyra on the surface, the young Elori who had sent the distress signal. "Lyra, can you hear me?" Hana spoke into her communicator. "Yes, yes, I hear you." Lyra's voice was shaking. "Are you really here? Is this real?" "It is real. We are here. I need you to help me. Can you tell me where the Kel are keeping prisoners?" There was a pause as Lyra gathered information from other survivors. "There are 3 collection points. The largest is in the central plaza of our capital. They are holding thousands there." Hana relayed the information to Captain Yuna. On the bridge, Yuna received the coordinates. "Admiral, we have prisoner locations. Permission to begin ground operations." Admiral Tiho's voice came through from the Iron Will. "Granted. Clear a path for the drop pods. I want our Marines on the ground in 15 minutes." "Yes, sir." Yuna turned to her weapons officer. "Target all enemy ships between us and the planet. Full barrage. Make a hole." The Horizon's Edge unleashed everything it had. Missiles, railguns, energy weapons all fired at once. The space between the flagship and Sierra Prime became a storm of destruction. Kel's ships tried to block the path. They were torn apart. On the surface, Commander Bren watched the battle through enhanced viewers. He had spent his life studying military tactics. He thought he understood war. He understood nothing. The humans were not fighting like any species he had studied. They took hits that would have destroyed Elori ships. They kept coming. They pushed into danger instead of away from it. When a human ship was damaged, it did not retreat to safety. It continued attacking while making repairs. "They are not retreating," Bren said to Elder Voss, who had joined him. "The enemy is hurting them. I can see the damage, but they keep advancing." Voss watched with wide eyes. "This is how Deathworlders fight." "They are insane." "No," Voss said quietly. "They are determined. There is a difference." Above them, the Kel fleet was breaking. The commander had expected an easy victory. Instead, he was losing ships faster than he could count. Human weapons were powerful, yes, but it was the tactics that truly devastated him. The humans fought like they had nothing to lose. They sacrificed position for attack. They traded damage for kills. They were relentless. "All ships focus fire on their flagship," the Kel commander ordered. "Destroy their leader." Dozens of Kel weapons turned toward the horizon's edge. The ship was hit again and again. Fires broke out on multiple decks. Crew members were injured. Systems failed. Captain Yuna gripped her command chair. Damage report. Hull breaches on decks 7 and 12. Engine 2 is offline. We have casualties. Keep firing, do not stop. The ship shook violently. Warning lights filled the bridge. Captain, we should fall back, an officer suggested. Yuna's eyes never left the view screen. We fall back when they are dead, not before. The Kel commander watched the human flagship burning. Finally, he thought. Finally, they will break. The horizon's edge did not break. Instead, it pushed forward even harder. Its weapons fired with desperate fury, and behind it the iron will moved into position. The dreadnought had been waiting, letting the smaller ships do the initial work. Now it joined the battle. The iron will was massive, the largest human warship ever built. Its main cannon required a full minute to charge, but when it fired, the results were absolute. The cannon fired. A beam of pure destruction crossed the void. It hit the Kel command ship directly. For a moment, the enemy flagship simply glowed. Then it came apart, disintegrating into a cloud of debris. The Kel commander was dead before he knew what happened. Without their leader, the enemy fleet fell into chaos. Ships tried to retreat. Human vessels hunted them down. Surrender signals were broadcast, but the humans had not come for surrender. Admiral Tiho's voice echoed across all channels. Any Kel ship that withdraws from this system will not be pursued. Any ship that stays will be destroyed. You have 60 seconds to choose. The Kel chose to run. Within minutes, the enemy fleet was gone, jumping to faster than light to escape the nightmare they had stumbled into. They left behind burning wreckage and thousands of soldiers on the planet's surface. In the underground shelter, Lyra heard the news from her communicator. The Kel fleet was defeated. The humans had won. She began to cry. Around her, other Elori cried too. They did not know if they were safe. They did not know what the humans would do next. But for the first time since the invasion began, they had hope. On the bridge of the horizon's edge, Captain Yuna allowed herself one moment to breathe. Her ship was damaged but functional. Her crew was hurt but alive. They had done the impossible. Then Admiral Tiho's voice came through. Well done, Captain, but we are not finished. There are still Kel on the ground. Our people are waiting. Yuna nodded. Deploy the Marines. The drop pods launched, streaking toward the planet like falling stars. The second phase had begun. The drop pods hit the surface of Sierra Prime like iron fists. They slammed into the ground with enough force to crack the crystal streets. Steam rose from their heated shells. Then the doors exploded outward, and the Marines emerged. Sergeant Wu Jin was first out of his pod. He stood over 2 meters tall in his combat armor. The suit made him look even larger, a walking fortress of metal and weapons. His rifle was already up, scanning for threats. "Squad report," he shouted. "Ready," came the response from 20 voices. The Kel soldiers nearby froze. They had expected reinforcements, supply ships, perhaps medical teams. Instead, they got nightmares in armor. One Kel guard raised his weapon. Wu Jin shot him before he could fire. 2 more guards tried to run. They did not make it far. "Move out," Wu Jin ordered. "Primary objective is the central plaza. Secure the prisoners. Kill any enemy that resists. Go." The Marines moved through the ruined city like shadows with guns. They were faster than their size suggested, trained to move in any gravity and any environment. The Elori world felt light to them, almost like floating. They had to be careful not to jump too high and become easy targets. But the Kel were not prepared for them. In the central plaza, thousands of Elori prisoners huddled together inside energy barriers. Kel guards surrounded them, weapons pointed inward. One guard, a captain, was speaking into a communicator, trying to contact the fleet. He received only static. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Where is the commander? Answer." The answer came from the sky. A drop pod crashed into the plaza, throwing debris everywhere. Marines poured out before the dust settled. The Kell opened fire. Plasma bolts hit human armor. The Marines staggered but did not fall. Their suits were designed to absorb incredible punishment. Damage that would kill any Elori warrior barely slowed them. Wu Jin took 3 shots to the chest. He felt the impact, felt the heat spreading across his armor. His display showed warnings. He ignored them. "Is that all you have?" he growled. He fired back. His rifle cut through Kell's soldiers like a blade through paper. Around him, his squad did the same. The Marines worked in perfect coordination, covering each other, advancing step by step. The Elori prisoners watched with wide eyes. They had never seen anything like this. The humans moved through enemy fire without hesitation. They took wounds that should have been fatal and kept fighting. One Marine lost his helmet to a lucky shot. Blood ran down his face. He wiped it away and continued shooting. "What are they?" whispered an Elori mother, holding her children close. Another prisoner answered, "Deathworlders." Within minutes, the plaza was secured. Kell bodies lay everywhere. Not a single prisoner was harmed. Wu Jin approached the energy barrier that held the captives. He studied the controls, then simply punched through them. The barrier flickered and died. The Elori did not move. They stared at the massive human standing before them, his armor scratched and burned, his rifle still smoking. Wu Jin removed his helmet. His face was scarred, worn, exhausted, but his eyes were gentle. "You are safe now," he said slowly, knowing they might not understand his accent. "We are here to help. No one will hurt you." An Elori child, barely past infancy, broke free from her mother and walked toward the human. She was tiny, reaching only to his knee. She looked up at him with huge silver eyes. Wu Jin knelt down, bringing himself closer to her level. He was still enormous compared to her, but he made himself as small as he could. The child reached out and touched his armored hand. "Big," she said. Wu Jin smiled. "Yes, very big but friendly, I promise." The child smiled back. That moment broke the tension. Other Elori began to move, to breathe, to believe that maybe, just maybe, they would survive. Across the city, more Marines were fighting. Each squad had their own objective. Collection points, guard stations, communication towers. Lieutenant Dongha coordinated them from orbit, tracking enemy movements and directing forces where they were needed most. Squad 4, enemy reinforcements coming from the north. 30 hostiles. "Acknowledged," came the reply. "We see them." 30 Kell soldiers marched toward the captured communication tower. They were the elite guard, better trained and better equipped than the others. They expected to retake the tower easily. They found 8 humans waiting for them. The battle lasted 40 seconds. When it was over, the Kell reinforcements were gone and the Marines had 2 wounded. Not dead, wounded. They bandaged their injuries and continued their mission. In the medical camp that Dr. Hana had established near the plaza, Elori refugees were being treated. Hana moved among them with infinite care. She had trained her team to be gentle, to remember that these beings were fragile. "Small movements," she reminded a medic. "Their bones are hollow. Their skin tears easily. Treat them like they are made of glass." An elderly Elori lay on a treatment bed. He had been beaten by Kell guards. His arm was broken, his face swollen. Hana treated him with medicines designed for alien biology, setting his bone with materials that would help it heal. "Why?" the elder asked, his voice weak. "Why did you come for us? We have nothing to offer you." Hana smiled at him. "You offered us your trust. You called for help even though you were afraid of us. That is enough. But the danger, the cost, your soldiers are dying for us." Some of them are hurt, yes, but they would do it again. We all would. She finished wrapping his arm. On our world we have a saying, the measure of a people is how they treat those who cannot help them back. You needed help. We came. The elder closed his eyes. Tears ran down his face. Not far away, Elder Voss had been found by a Marine squad. They brought him to Commander Bren, who had refused to hide and instead joined the fight however he could. Voss looked at the humans around him. They were battered, bleeding, some limping from wounds, but they stood tall. They kept watch. They protected. I was wrong, Bren admitted quietly. I called them monsters. I said they would destroy us, but look at them. They are suffering for us. Why? Voss shook his head. I do not know, I do not understand their kind, but perhaps that is the point. Perhaps we are not meant to understand, only to be grateful. A Marine approached them. It was Wu Jin, his armor now covered in dust and blood. Most of the blood was not his. Elder Voss, he asked. Yes, I am Voss. Wu Jin bowed his head slightly. Admiral Tiho sends his respects. Your planet is almost secure. The Kel are defeated. Almost. There is a Kel commander trying to escape with a transport full of prisoners. Our ships are moving to intercept. Captain Yuna is handling it personally. In orbit, the damaged Horizon's Edge pursued the fleeing transport. The Kel commander inside had grabbed 50 Elori hostages, hopping to use them as shields for his escape. Captain Yuna watched the transport on her screen. It was fast, designed for quick extraction, but not fast enough. Captain, if we fire, we might hit the prisoners, her weapons officer warned. I know, disable their engines, precision shots only. Attempting. The first shot missed. The second clipped the transport's wing. The third hit the engine perfectly. The Kel ship slowed, then stopped, dead in space. Prepare boarding parties, Yuna ordered. Marines in space suits launched from the Horizon's Edge. They crossed the void between ships and attached to the transport's hull. They cut through with welding tools and entered. Inside, the Kel commander held a weapon to an Elori hostage. Stay back, I will kill them all. The Marines stopped. There were 6 Kel guards and 1 commander, 50 hostages. One Marine slowly lowered his weapon. He stepped forward, hands raised. You are afraid, he said calmly. I understand, but killing them will not save you. Let them go and you will live. This is not a negotiation, it is a fact. The commander's hand shook. You cannot take them all, I will fire. I will kill at least one. Maybe, but then you will die, and what will that accomplish? The commander looked at the Marines surrounding him. Their eyes were calm, patient. They would wait forever if necessary. He lowered his weapon. The hostages were freed. The Kel were taken prisoner. On the surface, the last Kel resistance crumbled. The battle was over. The humans had won. Wu Jin stood in the plaza as evening fell. The twin suns of Sierra Prime set in brilliant colors. Around him, Elori families reunited. Children found parents. Friends found friends. The crying now was different, not fear, relief. An Elori woman approached him. She held the small child who had touched his hand earlier. Thank you, she said. I do not have words, just thank you. Wu Jin nodded. No thanks needed, just live, be happy, that is enough. He looked up at the sky, where human ships still kept watch. The Deathworlders had done what they came to do, but their work was not yet finished. 3 days had passed since the battle, the smoke had cleared, the fires were out, and slowly, carefully, the Elori began to rebuild. Human engineers worked alongside them, using machines that seemed miraculous to the Elori. Broken towers were stabilized. Cracked foundations were repaired. Power systems that had been destroyed were rebuilt with better technology than before. The Elori watched the humans work. They still did not fully understand these strange beings from the Death Planet, but they were beginning to see something they had missed before. Beyond the size and strength, Beyond the terrifying combat ability, there was kindness. There was care. There was an overwhelming desire to help. Elder Voss stood in the grand hall of the council building. It had been damaged in the attack, but human crews had repaired it in just 2 days. Now it looked almost new, ready for the ceremony that would take place today. Representatives from both species gathered in the hall. Human officers in clean uniforms stood beside Elori counselors in traditional robes. Marines who had fought in the streets stood at attention, their armor polished, their wounds treated. Elori civilians filled the seats, silent and respectful. Admiral Tiho entered with Captain Yuna at his side. The Elori made way for them, watching with a mixture of awe and gratitude. Voss approached the humans. He looked up at Tiho, this giant from a monster world, and saw only warmth in the Admiral's eyes. "Thank you for coming," Voss said. "We wanted to honor you properly, though I fear no honor we can give will ever be enough." Tiho shook his head. "You do not owe us anything, Elder. We did what was right. That is reward enough." Voss smiled. "Perhaps, but please allow us to try." He turned to face the gathered crowd and began to speak. 3 days ago we faced extinction. The Kel came to harvest us, to end our civilization, to erase us from existence. We had no hope, no allies, no future. His voice trembled but grew stronger. Then we called out into the dark. We called to strangers. We called to beings we feared. And they answered. He looked at the humans. "We called them Deathworlders. We believed they were monsters. We thought that if they came, they would be as terrible as our enemies. We were wrong." His eyes shone with tears. "They came with fire and fury, yes. They fought like demons. They showed our enemies what true strength looks like, but they also showed us something else. Compassion, mercy, love." The hall was silent. "I have lived many years," Voss continued. "I have studied many species. I thought I understood the galaxy, but I did not understand until now. True strength is not about power. It is about how you use power, and the humans used their power to save us." He bowed deeply to Admiral Tiho. "On behalf of the Elori people, I thank you. Our children will tell stories of this day. Our grandchildren will learn your names. You will never be forgotten." The crowd erupted in applause. Elori voices rose in praise. Some wept openly. Tiho stepped forward. He was not comfortable with praise, but he accepted it with grace. "We did not come for glory," he said. "We came because you needed help. The galaxy is vast and often cruel. Many species suffer without anyone to protect them. We believe that should change." He paused. "On Earth, we have a tradition. When one nation helps another, they form a bond, an alliance, a promise to stand together against whatever comes." He extended his hand. "Today, I offer that promise to the Elori. We will be your allies, your partners, your friends. If anyone threatens you again, they will face us together. If you need help, you only need to ask. This is our pledge." Voss took the offered hand. His small blue fingers wrapped around the human's massive grip. Tiho was careful, so careful to be gentle. "We accept," Voss said. "With all our hearts we accept." The alliance was formed. After the ceremony, smaller conversations happened throughout the hall. Captain Yuna found Commander Bren standing by a window, looking out at the recovering city. "You fought well," she said. "When your military was destroyed, you still organized resistance. You helped coordinate the civilian evacuation. That took courage." Bren looked at her. His eyes were tired but thoughtful. "I thought I knew what warriors looked like," he said. "Strong, cold, brutal. When I heard Deathworlders were coming, I expected machines of destruction, nothing more." He shook his head. "But I saw your people cry." Yuna raised an eyebrow. "Cry?" "In the camps, when you found the children who had been taken, your soldiers wept. Creatures who can survive anything, who fight without fear, who seem indestructible, and they wept for our children." Yuna was quiet for a moment. "Our world made us hard, it made us strong, but it also made us understand suffering. We know what it is to struggle, to lose, to fight for survival. That is why we feel so deeply for others who suffer. That is what Earth gave us. Bren nodded slowly. I think I understand now. You are not monsters wearing kind faces. You are kind beings wearing monster strength. He almost smiled. The galaxy has never seen anything like you. In another corner, Dr. Hana was saying goodbye to Lyra, the young communications officer who had sent the original distress signal. Will you come back? Lyra asked. Will we see you again? Hana smiled. I hope so. I would like to learn more about your people. Your culture is beautiful. Your music, your art, your way of seeing the world. Earth could learn much from you. Lyra looked down. We have nothing to teach. We are weak, helpless. Hana knelt to meet her eyes. Listen to me. Strength is not just about muscles and weapons. You sent that message. You were terrified, alone, with no reason to hope, and you still called for help. You still believed someone might answer. That takes a kind of strength that most species never find. She touched Lyra's shoulder gently. Never be ashamed of what you are. The Elori have survived for thousands of years by being clever, creative, and kind. Those qualities matter. They matter more than any weapon. Lyra hugged her. It was awkward. Humans were so big and Elori were so small, but they made it work. Sergeant Wu Jin stood outside the hall, smoking a cigarette. A small group of Elori children had gathered around him. They were fascinated by the giant human, asking questions in their high voices. Do you eat rocks? Wu Jin laughed. No, but I have eaten some things that probably tasted like rocks. Can you lift a building? No, well, maybe a small one. Are all humans as big as you? Some are bigger, some are smaller. We come in many sizes. One child, the same girl who had touched his hand in the plaza, climbed onto his armored boot. Will you stay? She asked. Will you protect us forever? Wu Jin looked down at her. Such a small creature, so fragile, so trusting. I cannot stay forever, he said honestly. I have a home too, family, friends, but I will always remember you, and if you ever need help again, I will come back. That is a promise. The child nodded seriously. Okay, then I will be brave until you come back. That is all I ask. That evening, Admiral Tiho stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, preparing for departure. The human fleet would leave a small garrison behind, enough to protect the Elori until their own defenses could be rebuilt. But the main force needed to return home. Lieutenant Dongha approached with a report. Sir, we have received messages from 17 species across the galaxy. They saw what happened here. They want to know if we would protect them too. Tiho raised an eyebrow. 17. Yes, sir, and more are coming every hour. The Admiral looked out at the stars. For so long, humanity had been feared. The Deathworlders, the monsters from the killer planet. Other species kept their distance, afraid of what humans might do. But now they had seen something different. They had seen humans fight for strangers, bleed for strangers, die for strangers, not for profit or power, but because it was right. Tell them all the same thing, Tiho said. We cannot protect everyone everywhere, but if they need help, truly need help, they can call, and we will answer. News of the Battle of Sierra Prime spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The details were shared on every network in every language. A minor species had faced extinction. They had called to the humans, and the humans had come. The Kel Dominion retreated to their borders and marked human space as a no-engagement zone. Other aggressive empires took notice. The galaxy was changing. On Sierra Prime, life slowly returned to normal. The crystal cities began to shine again. Children played in the streets. The Elori looked up at the stars and no longer saw only danger. And far away, on a little blue planet orbiting a yellow sun, the people of Earth continued their lives. They went to work, raised families, argued and loved and dreamed. Most did not even know what their fleet had done. But somewhere in orbit, Admiral Tiho looked out at the endless darkness. He knew there would be more calls, more species in danger, more impossible battles. And he knew humanity would answer everyone. Because that was what Deathworlders did, not destroy, not conquer, protect. The galaxy had feared them as monsters. Now they would know them as guardians. And nothing would ever be the same.